What if your best innovation work is making you easier to disrupt? What if the very thing your company is best at is the thing making you most vulnerable? What if your innovation strategy is actually training your organization to miss the future? Because most companies think they're innovating, but in reality, they're optimizing. And there's a massive difference between the two. The illusion of innovation. Most executive teams proudly talk about innovation. New features, faster delivery, lower costs, better customer experience, more efficiency, and all of that matters. But let's be clear about what it actually is. That's sustaining innovation. It's making what already exists better, faster, cheaper, more profitable for the customers you already serve. And when done well, it strengthens your market position. It reinforces the moat, it improves margins, it deepens customer loyalty. But here's the problem nobody talks about. The more successful you become optimizing the current model, the more attached you become to the logic behind it, the dangerous side of optimization. Over time, organizations begin optimizing around assumptions. Assumptions like who the customer is, what customers value, what price points make sense, what quality should look like, and how the business should operate. Eventually, those assumptions stop being questioned. They become embedded in strategy, in budgets, in KPIs, in culture, and in leadership thinking itself. That's when innovation quietly turns into institutional rigidity, because the same system that makes you excellent at sustaining innovation can make you structurally incapable of disruptive innovation. Not because leaders are unintelligent, but because disruption doesn't fit the existing logic. Why companies miss disruption? Disruptive ideas almost always look wrong in the beginning. They target customers you don't care about. They operate at margins you would never accept. They offer products your best customers would reject. And because of that, they fail every internal test. The ROI looks weak, the market seems too small, the product feels inferior. The opportunity appears strategically irrelevant, so leadership teams reject it. Not because it's irrational, but because it's incompatible with how the organization has been trained to think. That's the trap. Disruption rarely starts where you're looking. Here's what incumbents consistently misunderstand. Disruption rarely starts by attacking your core business directly. It starts at the edges, usually in one of two places. First, new customer segments. People the market is not serving well yet. Customers who find your offering too expensive, too complex, too difficult, or simply inaccessible. Second, low-end offers. Simpler, cheaper, good enough alternatives aimed at customers you're comfortable losing. And because those markets look unattractive, incumbents ignore them. They say, that's not our customer. That's a toy. That will never compete with us. And early on, they're often right. That's exactly why disruption works. The real advantage of disruptors. While established companies are busy optimizing the core, the disruptor is learning. They're learning how different customers behave, how to operate with a different cost structure, how to simplify value, and how to scale in ways incumbents cannot. At first, the disruptor looks weak, but over time, the product improves, the economics improve, the customer experience improves, and the market shifts. Suddenly, the thing incumbents dismissed becomes the thing redefining the industry. And by the time it's taken seriously, the disruptor already has momentum, while the incumbent has inertia. The bigger leadership problem. This is why the real issue isn't innovation. It's organizational design. Most companies are built to protect and extend the current business model. Their systems are optimized for Pascal's efficiency, predictability, alignment, and short-term performance, which means disruptive ideas get filtered out automatically. Not intentionally, systemically. That's the deeper risk. Your organization may not be failing to see disruption. It may be designed to ignore it. Two different games. The organizations that survive long-term understand something critical. There are actually two different innovation games being played. Game one, performance. This is about execution, optimization, margin improvement, operational excellence, and serving your best customers better. Most organizations are built for this game. But there's a second game. Game 2, Discovery. This is about exploring non-consumption, testing new models, serving overlooked markets, and learning faster than competitors. The problem, most companies try to run Game 2 using Game 1 rules, and that kills disruptive innovation before it ever has a chance. Because disruption cannot initially be measured by certainty. It has to be measured by learning. The leadership imperative. This is the real leadership challenge today. Not simply, how do we innovate more? But, what kinds of innovation are we structurally incapable of pursuing? Where are we over-optimized? What assumptions are we protecting? What markets are we dismissing? What opportunities feel too small, too simple, or too unprofitable today? That could redefine the future tomorrow. Because history shows something repeatedly. The companies that get disrupted are rarely unaware. They're overcommitted to the logic of their current success. The paradox is simple. The capabilities that make your company successful today can become the very thing that makes it vulnerable tomorrow. So the real question is not, are we innovating? It's this, are we only innovating in ways that reinforce the past? Or are we building the capacity to create what could eventually replace it? Because disruption rarely announces itself as a threat. At first, it looks small, until it changes everything.